Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome into my kitchen. I have a late day today. I have to go out later today. Studio time is going to be in the PM instead of the AM, so I'm going to need something hearty to come home to after I'm out and about. And so I'm going to make this sweet potato soup. It's real easy and simple. It's hearty. And then I also have these 3 salmons that I'm going to cook, and I'm going to sear them and have one of these on the side. So let's get ready with the soup. In the oven, I took 2 large sweet potatoes and I grilled them a little bit in the oven because I want that caramelized taste in the soup. So this is just 2 large sweet potatoes. I washed them, I cut them, and I put the oven on 350 and I stuck them in there. So let's get the pot started for the soup. So in this pot here, I'm going to add, let me bring in a little closer. In this pot here, I'm going to add some olive oil. Of course, you know I'm going to start that. Now with the sweet potatoes, I put some sea salt. I added sea salt to that, and I added the black pepper into the cuts of the sweet potatoes and the olive oil, and I mixed them in a bigger bowl so I could get it all mixed in. So that went on the sweet potatoes. So I'm getting this pot and this oil, this olive oil, heated on this front burner. This is a really good, hearty, wholesome soup. I've been kind of eating up some things that I'm not too happy with, so I'm trying to just cut back today a little bit. So I'm going to make this soup. So in this pot, I have some mushrooms already diced. I had them in the freezer from my last meal. I'm going to add these into the pot so they can start sauteing. And that's just some cut mushrooms. And I used to didn't like mushrooms, but now I'm starting to desire a better taste for mushrooms, so I can add them with different things. And on this pan over here, I'm going to get this one ready so we can get our salmon seared. And it's wild caught, so it's not, you know, it's 2 types of salmon. So you get the wild caught, these are just some mushrooms. And with those mushrooms, I'm going to add a little onion because it gives a good flavor to soup. So I cut up an onion. That's going in here as well. And like I said, I'm coming in here doing this now because I'm going to be in the studio later today. So I'm going to need something nice and hearty to come back. So we're sauteing the onion and the mushrooms in this pot. You can see I'm sauteing. And as I said earlier, I took the sweet potatoes, 2 large ones. I put the pink salt and pepper and some olive oil, and I put the oven on 350 and left them in there for 35 minutes. So with this pan here, I'm going to get this pan hot. I'm just going to sear these beautiful salmons. I have the lemon pepper on these. It has the skin on. So I'm going to sear those and have those along with the soup. And that's going to be a meal. Yeah, so I said, let me come on here. I had to share this recipe because you have to try this soup at home. It is absolutely wonderful. So I'm getting these nice and ready. Onion, and we have the onion in here, and we have the mushrooms. And they're starting to saute, as you can see. You talking about something good and hearty, and I'll eat off of this a couple days because it's a good hearty meal and it doesn't take a whole lot of prep. So you might just want to slice your potatoes, get your sweet potatoes. I got 2 large ones and I cut them. I slice them across this way, and then I, chop them just like you would a regular potato. And then I just diced up the mushrooms. I already had some in the freezer, so I didn't have to do as many as I normally do. And I also had some onion I'm going to add to this soup. So we're just letting this saute. And I have some little extra, I had to share this recipe because you have to try this soup. You just have to try it at home. It is a good soup. It's nourishing. It's better than the white potato. So I have some little broth left in these 2 containers. So before I open this one and use this one, I'm going to use what's in this. So I'm going to start adding this into the sauteed mushrooms and onions on this burner here. And this is called a mushroom sweet potato soup. And it's really, really, really good. And you'll love it. And it's easy. And you can make as much as you like. So I'm starting to add the broth. I'm just draining off these little containers so they don't keep piling up. And I told you, I like a lot of broth in my soups. If it's not brothy, then it doesn't really taste like a soup. So, you got to try this. So it's sweet potatoes. I have 2 large ones, depending on your family size. Mushrooms. You grill them in the oven. You dice them. You put your salt and your pepper and your olive oil, and you put them into the. You put these into the oven, the sweet potatoes, and you let them grill a little bit for 25 to 30 minutes on 350, and it just brings out another kind of flavor. So while this pan is heating up, I'm going to add some more broth, because I like a brothy soup, into this pot. I'm going to let this simmer for a few minutes. And like I said, soup has to have broth. If it's not brothy, it's not a soup to me. I'm going to increase the light up under here so this can really start boiling. And the only other thing you have to do at that point is add the sweet potatoes in, and then you add some spinach. And I have some fresh spinach here, which I'm going to add into the soup. That's the last thing I'm going to add. So I'm going to put some olive oil in the pan over here for the salmon. And these are wild caught salmon, so it's not, you know, I think they have farm raised and wild caught. These are wild caught salmons. And I'm going to put the skin down first because I want to sear the skin. And you just let them cook. You don't let them dry out. And like I said, I added the lemon pepper. I have 3 nice sized ones here. And I added the lemon pepper to them. And these have the skin on the back, so the skin inside will go down first. This one is a honey glaze salmon. These are just the regular salmon with, you know, nothing added to it. So I have one different kind, and these 2 are the same. So the pan is getting hot here. Our pot is boiling here for our sweet potato soup. See, there's the mushrooms in the broth. And like I said, sweet potatoes do have carbs, but it's a lower carb count than the white potato. The white potato has a lot more carb count. So we're going to talk about sober thinking today while I'm in here. I always like to add that into it because I basically come on with, you know, little tidbits of wisdom or whatever, and have a discussion while I'm cooking, because it's just not a cooking, I'm just not in here just to cook. So we have to talk about sober thinking. Now, I know a lot of you saying in your mind, sober thinking, what does she mean by that? Well, we can have an intoxicated thinking without touching any alcohol, because a lot of what happens with us begins with our thinking. This pan is sizzling a little bit. I'm going to put these down in there and let these start cooking while I'm talking. Skin down. And I'm going to let the skin crisp up on the salmon. And I have the soup here, the sweet potato soup ready. I'm going to add the sweet potatoes in a few minutes. Yeah, so we're going to talk about sober thinking, because normally our mind follows our thinking. So wherever our mind is, wherever our minds are at times, that's where our thinking is. And sometimes our thinking isn't as sober as we need it to be. You have to keep your thinking sober at all times so you can make the right decisions at the right time. So this pot is just about boiling where I want it to be. The sweet potatoes are basically done. I'm just going to add them in there. It's going to sweeten up the pot, because the sweet potatoes have their own sweet, natural sweetness to it. I'm letting the salmon cook on the back burner. And the reason why I'm coming on, because I wanted to share this sweet potato soup. It has mushrooms, onions, chicken broth, sweet potatoes, and at the very end, you add some fresh spinach, and you're talking about a good meal. You can eat off of it for a couple of days. And it has so much nutritional value as well. So I added quite a bit of broth, because I'm a brothy person when it comes to soup. And, I like it to taste like, like a soup. So it has to have a certain amount of broth for the consistency that I like it to be. So that's just about doing that. The skin side down, and the salmons are cooking here. They have the honey lemon, they have the lemon pepper seasoning on them today. And after that skin crisp up, I turn it on the other side. It doesn't take a long time for salmon to cook all the way through, but you do want to make sure that it's done and it's not raw. So the pot has started boiling here. So now I'm going to scrape my sweet potatoes up and put them into this broth. And this is another big part of the soup. And like I said, this is better than the white potato. You get this and you have a piece of this fish, and you have a meal fit for a king or a queen. So I'm putting the sweet potatoes in now. This is 2 large sweet potatoes. Now if you have a bigger family and you want to make a bigger pot of soup, you would add, of course, you would increase what you put in it. I'm doing this size pot. This will be, and the more it sits, the better it's going to taste. So I'm adding the sweet potatoes in now. This is 2 large sweet potatoes. Then with the mushrooms and the little onions. And this is called a sweet potato soup. And the flavors are fantastic. And I used the chicken broth because I didn't want to water it down with water and take away any of the flavor. And I grilled the sweet potatoes in the oven because you're just going to add that little extra oomph to it. This looks fantastic. Now, you have an option with the soup. You can put a little flour in there while you're sauteing your onions and your mushrooms if you want a thicker broth. I'm okay with the frothier broth, so I don't thicken this up. Now, at any point, I can get me some, what's it called, cornstarch. I could put a little bit in a bowl, and I could still thicken it up a little bit if that's what I wanted to do. Now, I'm going to add a little heavy cream into this pot. I'm going to get that out in a minute. So you add a little heavy cream because you're going to change light cream. I have a light cream. I didn't get the real heavy cream. So I'm going to put a little bit of this light cream in here, and that's going to give it a different texture as well. So it's going to take it from just a brothy look to a more creamier look. So I just added the cream into the pot. And we're going to still let this just cook. Oh my God, this is going to be so good. We're going to put a little bit of more olive oil on top. We're going to add a little bit of cayenne chili. We're going to add a little bit of chili. Just a little for a little bite. I'm adding this in. Now the soup is just going to cook. Now, like I said, if you want a thicker broth, you can add a little cornstarch to thicken the broth, or you can leave it like that. So I'm going to turn the salmon now, flip this side. Just like I said, it doesn't take a very long time for the salmon to cook, but you do want it done all the way through. So I'm going to turn the soup down a little bit. And we're talking about sober thinking, because a lot of times we don't realize that our thinking is like intoxicated. And we think that we're good and everything's good in our thinking, and then come to find out our thinking is kind of toxic. So that takes work. And you have to control that. And you have to be careful how far you want your imagination to run with different things, because sometimes our imaginations are there for a reason. They can be used for good, or they can be used for something not so good. So it's up to us to decide where we allow our imaginations to go. And you can be drunk off of your thinking, and you be thinking like a drunken person. And I'm not condemning anybody that might have an alcohol problem, or have some kind of substance abuse. That's not what I'm on here to do. We're talking about the mind. We're talking about the thinking of the mind and the soberness and how we think in our minds. This soup is looking fantastic. All I have to add to it now is some spinach. I'm going to give you a glance at it. It has the sweet potatoes. It has onions. It has mushrooms. And it has light cream. I added a light cream to it, just so it could not have the, it wouldn't have the frothy look. It took on a different look with the cream when I added the cream in. And the last thing you added is your spinach. So this is just about there. Our salmon is getting crisp on one side. I'm going to put a lid over this because I let it cook all the way through. So I'll throw the lid on the salmon, let that cook while the soup is still cooking, which is basically done because the sweet potatoes were done. I did the sweet potatoes in the oven on 350, 2 large ones for the soup that I'm making today. And then I added the pink salt, Himalaya pink salt, and I added pepper. And I put them in the oven, and I did that for about 35 minutes just to get that started. And then I had the mushrooms and the onions. I put them in some olive oil, sauteed them, put them in the pot, and let them saute in the olive oil. And then those sweet potatoes that got caramelized in the oven were then added to the soup with some light cream. So this is the cream. I used a light cream inside of the soup because I didn't want the brothy look today. I also added a little chili powder for a little bite, and I'm going to give it a little bit more of this. Just change the color a little bit. And like I said, I had the salmon cooking in this pan, kind of sauteing. It's really cold here today. It's damp, so I said, let me make this good soup. So when I come back in from my busy, I don't want to go on a full stomach. I might grab something really light before going out. And the last thing I'm going to add into here is the spinach. So this is just, everything in here is just about done. I'm going to dip up a small bowl of it so you can see what it actually looks like once it's done. The soup, and I have some little crackers in here. They are, I think they have like some cranberries or something in them, and I have to pull them out and let you know exactly what's in them. I'm going to add the spinach to the soup in a few minutes and show you the finished product. So this is called a sweet potato, mushroom, and onion soup. It has onions, mushrooms, sweet potatoes that's been grilled in the oven. It has heavy cream. It has onion. And the last ingredient I'm going to add into here is going to be the spinach. And this looks fantastic. I'm over here drooling. I got to catch that. I really am. I'm drooling over this soup. And this is what it's looking like. This is what, and it smells great. And then I'm going to add the spinach. So I'm just saying, just keep your thoughts in a good place. Don't let your thinking get intoxicated with, you know, some stuff that might come to your mind, and you be thinking like, well, that's the way that is, and that's the way I see that. So I'm going to do A, B, C, and D because that's the way I'm seeing it, and this is the way I'm going to deal with it. You have to be careful with that because intoxicating thinking ain't good. It's almost on the same level of stinking thinking. So the longer this soup sits, the better it's going to taste. So I got a handful of spinach here. I'm about to rinse it and drop it into the soup. Dropping the spinach in, and it wilts down, so don't worry about how much you put in there. The more the better. You just don't want to overpower it. Adding some more into the soup, and I'm whisking that around. And you're talking about a beautiful pot here. So this is sweet potato soup with onions, sweet potatoes that's been grilled into the oven. You have light cream to change the texture. The base was a chicken broth. And we have the salmon that's cooking on the side over there. And this is what's going to be good for a couple of days. It's cold, it's wet, and this is what I decided to make today. So I'm going to flip this fish again. Start this round. I just put a little olive oil in here. Let me show you what that's doing. I put the lid on it because I want it to cook all the way through. And here's the salmon. The wild caught. It's not the farm raised. And I have to get a little lemon juice. I put that over the salmon. And that'll be done. Very easy, very quick. It sounds like it would be a complicated meal, but it's not. So I'm going to dish up some of this soup in a bowl because I want you to get a look at it. And like I said, I have these crackers. These here are called Fig Black Sesame Artisan Crunch. So these are going to be with the soup. You can crumble them on top, or you can just have them on the side. A couple of these, and voila, you have a wonderful meal. So these are the crackers that's going to go on the side of the soup. I'm going to plate the soup up so you can see what it looks like. The finished product, because it does. Everything in here, you don't want the spinach to wilt away too much. So I'm putting the sweet potatoes. You got your spinach. And this is your sweet potato, mushroom, and spinach soup. You're talking about a hearty meal. Look at that. And you have that with your fish, and you have a hearty meal. So that's what I'm going to be eating today. And I'm going to let the light down under this a little bit and just let it simmer. Once again, it's our spinach and sweet potato soup with mushrooms, light cream, onions, and mushrooms. And this is the soup that I just made in the kitchen. And this is going to be delicious. And I have these crackers. They have like sesame seeds on them. It has a little bit of fig inside. You can eat it like that, or you can crumble it up on top of your soup, whatever you desire. See how thin that is? So I'm not going to be doing a lot of carbs. And my fish, this is the salmon that I'm going to have on the side. All right, everyone, I just wanted to come in and share that soup with you, basically. I had to share the soup with you. One more look at this soup. This is sweet potato soup with spinach, mushrooms, onions, chicken broth, and some light cream. So I'm going to get off of here and eat the soup, have some fish, try to rest up a little bit before I leave out for the studio. Keep your thinking sober. Don't let your thinking get intoxicated with things that might pop up that's not even the reality of what you're thinking. Just keep your thinking sober. God bless you. Love you with the love of Christ. Don't let nobody come and rain on your parade, and tell them if they're going to come and rain, they better bring an umbrella, because you want to be protected from the rain. All right? God bless. I'll see you soon. Love you with the love of Christ. Thank you for stopping in.